Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneurial Development Podcast. I'm your host, C. Muzan. Got some great guests here for you today. Really excited to be able to chat with them. We got a chance to connect briefly via social media. For those of you that follow me know that I love social media and I will continue to connect with people via social. I think it's a great medium. But this is just another couple that I got a chance to connect with. Got a chance to see what they were doing and what they were working on in the space of entrepreneurship. And I was like, man, I got to have them on the podcast. So thank you for jumping on, Laine and Vince. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Yes.
Absolutely. So we're not going to, do any small talking. We're just going to jump straight in to the meat, because I want people to hear. I want people to hear your story. I want people to hear kind of how this thing came together and talk about what you're doing. So take me back. Give me the origin story as early and maybe as you guys come together. Talk about kind of how you got this thing started, where you started from. Go back as far as you like.
You want to go?
It really began with you.
So me and Vince met in 2017. We met through a dating app. So for all you guys who don't believe in online dating, give it a chance. We met through online dating, and I was in corporate America. I was working at Sprint as an assistant manager. And Vince is in the military. He's in the Air Force. Yes. So for me, I was just working so many hours. Vince had a regular 9 to 5. Like after 5 o'clock, he was off of work, but it'd be times where I would be at work till 7, 8, 9 o'clock, depending on what time the store opened or what time the store would close, or how many clients or customers were in the store. So we had a hurricane, so we had to evacuate. We had, I think it was Hurricane Matthew.
Where were you living at this time?
North Carolina, Jacksonville. Yep, Jackson, Carolina. So it's very close to the beach, about 20, 30 minutes. So we had to evacuate. And in the process of evacuating, we didn't get paid at the store. So no one got paid. And it was very devastating for me because I was putting all this work in and I was putting all these hours and it wasn't really benefiting me. So I told Vince, like, hey, I think I'm gonna leave Sprint. And he was kind of hesitant, like, no, you do really good there. You make decent money. Why would you leave? I said, because I don't feel appreciated. Like at any time I can just not get paid for whatever reason that had nothing to do with me. It's not my fault. So I really didn't want to. And I didn't have the passion for it anymore. So I really wanted to get in the financial industry. And I said, well, this credit union called me for an interview, but it was a pay cut. So I was willing to take this pay cut if I could get more knowledge in the finance industry. And he supported me. He didn't like it.
Let me stop you there really quick. Why the finance industry? Because that is not normal, right? Just so you know, for most people to go from like Sprint to be like, I want to be in finance. Like, how did that come about?
So I already had troubles with my own finances. So after being able to find ways to fix my own finances, I became more passionate in it, and more people were asking me for help. So I didn't want to go into an industry and not have knowledge about how to help other people. I wanted to know how I can help. I knew how to help myself, but what can I do differently to help other people? So I said, you know what? Let me see if I can get into the finance industry, basically get a role in it, see who I can talk with, and get into it. And I did, but it was a pay cut, so I was like,
Yeah, the goal for you was to be able to just help people the way that like you got helped. Or did you get help from the finance industry first?
No. I helped myself. So I had to research, read books, YouTube videos, talking to different people who are experts in the industry, and trying to find my way in it to see how I can help myself, because my situation was a little different. I had paid eviction. So when I was calling different people like, hey, I need help with this particular problem, they were either trying to charge me a boatload of money that I didn't have, like $3-4 grand, to talk to a lawyer who didn't really give me what can I say? They didn't give me a guarantee if it could work. So I'm gonna give you $4,000, $3 or $4,000, and you don't even know if you can really help me. Right. So I was like, okay, well, I never dealt with that situation, but I can see what I can do. I couldn't take that as an answer. So I said, I gotta find a way to help myself. So I know there's other people dealing with, and I know that they were able to get out of this situation. So what can I do? Or how can I learn to help myself? So it was a lot of work, but after realizing the potential that I did for myself, there were so many people like, well, how did you do that? How can you help me? But I wasn't like an expert yet. I wasn't a professional. So I was just letting people go. Like, I think you should read up on some things. I can't really help you right now. So it was very, very difficult, but I knew getting into the finance industry, getting that experience in corporate America was going to help me scale to the next level.
Absolutely. And for everyone listening, I think that's a great place to kind of, take some information and know that a lot of entrepreneurs start their businesses out of necessity, right? Out of necessity. It's out of a place of like, I needed this information. I went and found it myself. And then all of a sudden, that's exactly what happens. Other people start to show up around you. Like, how did you do that? How does that work? And then out of that comes a business, right? That's a very, very common way for people to start businesses. And obviously, it played out for you. So what was your first step in the working world, in the finance world?
So I became a financial services representative. So I was either in the branch or on the phone. I'm used to being on the phone. So when I originally got hired, they're like, well, do you like being on the phone? Because a lot of people don't like being on the phone. I said, I don't like it anymore, but if I have to get on the phone, I will. Sure. So between working with clients face to face and getting on the phone, I started to ask different questions from different people in different departments. So if you were in the mortgage department, I would ask you questions like, so how does the client get approved for this? Or what if they don't get approved? What's the stipulation? What's the steps? If it was just a regular personal loan department or an auto loan department, or even the ones that needing financial coaching, anyone that needed some sort of IRAs, I would just ask everyone different questions and just be the fly on the wall and just listen. Because one thing I learned about being in the banking world is people, if they love what they do, they're going to talk and talk about it. So I would just grab it all in like I was a sponge. And that's where I learned, like, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can study on this, I can study on that. And I realized that eventually I would have to leave because what I wanted to do was similar to what I was working with. So it was going to end up being a conflict of interest. Sure. So I started to help people. I told Vince, like, hey, I'm going to open up my own business and I'm going to start with credit.
All right, so let's stop. Let's stop, right? Vince is sitting here, right, on the side, just listening. But Vince, talk to me about, like, what was that, like, what were you seeing? Because I know she already said that you kind of, when you said, I don't think I'm going to leave or whatever, you're like, well, you're good over at Sprint. I mean, you're good there, Now this next move, what are you going through?
I mean, when it reached that point, just going back to Sprint, like when she first started there up to when she left, she skyrocketed to the top. Like, she was the best agent they had. The way she marketed, people would ask her how she was getting so many customers and stuff. She marketed so well. When she went to the bank, learned more about what she wanted to do as far as her own business. When we reached that point, pretty much like, you know what? She can do this. Like, I've seen her do amazing things from the jump, from Sprint to the bank. So I was just like, let me just get out of the way and we'll just
fully supportive. Fully supportive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yes.
And people don't understand how important that is, like that as a couple, right? As a couple, that you are supporting each other in your goals and dreams.
Yeah.
That's huge. That plays a huge role. I've been married for 8 years, right? Been together with my wife for 11, right? So the fact that we've been in business together, we grow together, we have a plan together, we have a vision for our life together. We can, it's so invaluable. Like, people don't understand how important that really is, and how that can either build or break, something good, right?
Yes.
It's big, big time.
I would say it's about building a legacy. So that's what we're trying to do. A legacy, pass it on to our youngins. So
that's awesome. That's
exciting
awesome.
time.
It is. So I'm gonna take you back even one to what you were saying, Laine, is and again, for our listeners, because this is so important to learn, right? I get on my high horse about college and school and how school doesn't help entrepreneurs, right? Like I'll go there for days. But the key, and you embodied it, the key is you still were curious to learn. Just because you weren't in a school environment didn't mean you didn't want to learn. You asked the proper questions, as many questions as you needed to. You had that curiosity. Have you always had that, or was that something that you just kind of picked up because you wanted to be in finance?
No, I've always been that curious cat. Not like super nosy, but nosy to where I can see it's going to be a benefit. So I learned early on when I was in college that people just like to talk, and you don't know what information that they can tell you that can potentially help you later on. So I just try to be a listener. When people are talking and talking and talking, I don't try to make an enemy out of people. I don't know what you can potentially tell me or who you can potentially introduce me to that could put me in a new door or a new opportunity. So I've always been that way. And I think I've always been that way since I was a little girl, because I was just like always listening, being nosy, like, oh, I didn't know you can do that. Well, that's interesting. I'm gonna try that. And my mom will always tell me, like, you need to stop doing that. Like, stop listening to grown conversation. But I always had that curious mind, and I always wanted to learn more and more because I get bored easily. So after getting bored, I just realized, like, okay, what's something else that I can do that is going to be a factor into what I'm already enjoying.
Yep.
So I've always just been that way.
And that is a trait of the entrepreneur, that curiosity, that learning, that willingness to even the getting bored part, because I know so many entrepreneurs that like they're on to the next idea so quickly because they actually do get bored very quickly with what they're doing. But the key takeaway from that for everyone is the learning. You gotta constantly learn. You gotta constantly be curious.
Yes,
always. It's always, right? Like that's just the way it goes. So now
it doesn't stop.
You're right. Take me forward. Now you're thinking about starting your own thing. What are your conversations?
Yes. So I started my own thing. I decided, okay, let me take a class so I can be able to be the professional, be the expert. And I want to take a class from somebody who's already successful in the industry. So I did that. And then the buzz started spreading a little bit on social media to where some of my coworkers were taking notice. And someone opened up their mouth and say, oh, Laine is, restoring people's credit. And the town that we live in is not too big. So my immediate supervisor was like, hey, you're helping clients, you're helping customers with their credit. I was like, it's not customers from the bank. And he's like, well, how do you know that? You signed, you can't be able to compete, and you're gonna have to choose. He's like, but I support what you're doing. He's like, because you're so bright and so intelligent, so I know that you can go far beyond the bank. He's like, but you need to think about what you want to do, and I'll let the manager know of the department. So he talked to the manager of the department. The manager didn't want me to leave. My supervisor was giving me all the support. So I said, well, I'm going to leave. I said, because I've already invested, me and Vince have already invested into this company, and I'm not going to choose this job over the company when I could potentially make more and have more freedom with the company. So he's like, okay, no problem. Just put your 2-week notice in and you can leave before the new year. I put my 2-week notice in, and the day after, we had to have a meeting, and the manager of the department said, what are you leaving for? I said, because I've already started something, and it's growing quickly, and I want to see where it goes. In order for me to extend my time, I'll have to leave this job because I'm taking appointments after work, and sometimes I'm late to those appointments because I'm still at work, and I know I could potentially make more money for myself and my family if I leave. He said, well, what if you're not successful? And I said, well, what if I am? What if I am successful?
There we go.
Like, aren't you scared? I said, I'm scared, but I still want to do it because I'm naturally a risk taker. I will risk it all and see how it goes and then get back up and do it again. Absolutely. So I said, what's it going to be? Like, I've already told you that I'm leaving. I already put my 2-week notice in. And he said, you know what? Screw the 2-week notice. You can leave today. Because he was upset. And I was like, wow, okay. And he said, but since you did put the 2-week notice in, if you decide to come back, we'll have a position for you. I was like, I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. I'm going to prove to you I'm not coming back. And I walked to my car, grabbed all my things from my desk, and everybody's looking at me like, what's going on? You're leaving? I say, yeah, I quit. They fired me. I quit. Whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. I know I had to put my 2-week notice in, and they let me go early. So I walked to my car, all my things, and I text Vince like, yeah, today's my last day. He didn't text me yet, and I called my best friend Trinitha, and I'm crying on the phone, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? I just left my job to start this thing, or what if it doesn't work? It's just like, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. And I'm like, oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. I get home, I open up my calendar, and 3 appointments after that the next day. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can do this.
That's awesome.
Do this. So.
That's such an awesome story, and you and I have a little bit similar of a story, because, and I think this is needed for a lot of people. I'll touch on. I think it's needed when people transition out of corporate America or whatever they're doing at a job, that there's something that puts the nail in the coffin for them. And for your boss being a jerk about it and being mad and saying you can go, that put that nail in the coffin for you, where it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to go back. Right. I had the same thing.
Yep.
I used to work at the Cheesecake Factory. I was a restaurant manager before I became an entrepreneur. Right. Like I was a restaurant manager, and I did that really well for a long period of time, to the point that I was basically running, right, my financial, or I was running my restaurant. I was the AGM. So I had a GM above me, but I was working, 65, 70 hours a week. He was working 35 hours a week, right? I was doing his job, climbing the corporate ladder, right? Just doing what they told me. And then I got introduced, right, to entrepreneurship and business. My wife's always been a business owner. She's always been an entrepreneur. She's hated authority for her whole life. I was the one that was I was the one doing my thing. And then it got to this fork in the road where, if you know anyone that's in restaurants, right, it's nothing but long nights and holidays and weekends, and you're overworked and underpaid. And at a certain point, I was like, this is stupid. Like, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life, because just like you said, Vince, like, this is about legacy. And at a certain point, I realized like, this is about something bigger than this. I can't do this forever. And to what you were saying, when I started to transition out of the Cheesecake Factory, when I started to leave, I told my GM, like, hey, listen, this is what I'm thinking. Probably going to get out of here because I have another business opportunity. I'm thinking I want to go this route. And my GM was basically like, all right. And I was like, like, I do a lot of stuff here. So like, if you need me to stick around for like 90 days or, 120 days and train the managers or fix the stat, like whatever you need me to do, like, I'm here. And he just real nonchalantly was like, oh, you can go. And I was like, okay, like not understanding that, like, I really was just a number. I thought I gave so much to that restaurant, but I was really just another employee. And I didn't get that until he hit me with that. And then I was like, okay, well then I'll put in my 2 weeks, I guess. And he said, okay, great. We'll call the area director and he has to sit down with you for your exit interview. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And I'm thinking him, because I have an okay relationship with my area director at the time, he's going to try to save me. He's going to try to throw me more money. He's going to try to do something. I sit down with him and he says the same exact thing. He's like, oh, what are you going to go to do? And I was like, well, I think I'm going to get into finance. And, me and my wife have this opportunity. He was like, man, I know someone in that. They aren't doing too well. I was like, oh, okay, that's great. He was like, all right, so you just want to go? And I was like, yeah, just 2 weeks. And he was like, all right, just, finish out and, best of luck to you. It was just the most confusing thing, but that's what I needed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going back. Like, that's it. Like, I just gave basically, 7 years of my life to this place. And now all of a sudden I can go. That's what made me never come.
Yeah.
And I think every entrepreneur that transitions from that employee to entrepreneur, I think everyone needs that moment where they realize, like, the structure they were in isn't going to work for them ever again. And there's no turning back. And then we figure it out, right? Because that's what you did.
Yeah.
You figured it out right after that. Vince, what were your thoughts during this time? What happened? Like, what were you going through?
Well, when she texted me and eventually when we talked about it, I'll preface this by saying I'm a rebel. So when I heard what the manager had done to her, I was like, okay, well, let's get to work. Let's prove him wrong. So I mean, it was just, to me, it was an exciting time. I know for her at first, it was kind of like, what am I going to do? What are we going to do? At that point, it was just about, for me personally, stepping up, making sure that we met our needs. And then from that point, just encouraging her, constantly learning and just moving forward. So like I said, I wasn't worried at all, to be honest. I don't feel like I'm much of a worrier. I try to keep it easy going. But like I said, when I heard that, it was just game on. Let's get it. Let's show that we can do this and let's get to work.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's
And so,
basically what it was.
Laine, what were your next steps then? I know you said 3 appointments the next day. Now take me through
Oh yeah.
the maturation of the business.
So it was 3 appointments the next day, and then it was slow because the holiday season came, and it was slow as heck. I was not making any money. So about 2-3 months, I was broke. I didn't have a savings. I didn't have any money coming in. I had 3 clients. I had about 3 clients that I was practicing on. So I was just like, what am I gonna do?
So wait,
Like,
so
I wasn't gonna give up.
financially you weren't prepared. Like you didn't have savings or you didn't have anything to really set yourself. None of
No.
that. Wow.
No,
Okay.
no. Because I thought, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick to my job just a little bit, save some money, and then leave. But then they hit me with that conflict of interest, and I was, oh man, I'm not prepared for this, but I'm not gonna just give up on it.
Sure.
So it was devastating, and I didn't really want to talk about it, but I was just like, okay. And it was very stressful because I'm like talking to him like, come on, like Vince, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. Like this, I'm not bringing any money in. He's like, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep marketing. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. I'm like, he's like, you can't give up. I was like, I'm not gonna give up, but it's just hard.
Talk about
And
that.
then I was like,
Talk about that stress, because I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs really understand like
oh,
that level of stress and like what you're going through at that time. Take us through that.
so entrepreneurs don't want to talk about a level of stress where you start to consume other things to just start to make you feel better and more comfortable, which is for me, I was like a wineaholic. So I'm like, Vince, go get me another bottle of wine. Like, go get me another bottle of wine. Like every day, where it became an issue because with our relationship, Vince is not a big drinker, and that's completely understandable. And I don't feel like everybody should like drink all the time, but because it's not going to be great for your body. But every day I was like, I need something. It became like an addiction. Now I have control over it, but he would be like, I'm not getting you another bottle of wine. Like, you need to find another way to help your stress or help you cope. And he's like, we need to go to the gym. Like, let's go to the gym then, or let's find something else. Or let's start eating better, because wine, you drinking every day is not it. And I'll be looking at him like, what do you mean? Like, this is what I need. This is what's going to help me. And he's like, you're honestly not even really making any money to continue buying wine. So it's not, our needs come first. Like, we got to make sure this is paid. We got to make sure that we have food on the table. We got to make sure that the kids are good and you want to drink. And that's what a lot of people don't like to talk about, like drinking, smoking, and just eating. Like, because you're at home.
Vices in general, right? Vices in general, right? What you're talking about, and again, so important for the entrepreneur to hear. I'm glad we're able to talk on this, is how to become like master yourself, right? I believe entrepreneurship is, right, it just gives you a mirror into yourself. I remember reading this article one time that said the reason why most people really don't succeed at entrepreneurship or want to become entrepreneurs is because it's going to force you to look at the ugliest parts of yourself. It's going to force you to do that. And if you choose not to, you will not be successful. And that's what this little instinct, that's what this was doing for you. It was forcing you to look at a habit that you didn't like, that wasn't the greatest habit, that like you had to look at it in the mirror and say, man, and again, a blessing that you have a spouse, you have a partner that is able to also, speak into your life and see those things as well. But in general, it's about us taking our, look in the mirror and saying like, man, is this healthy? Like, what are my coping mechanisms, right? And what do I do when I have a lot of stress? And entrepreneurship forces you to be able to do that. So kudos to you, Vince, by speaking up and really doing that. And then Laine, obviously heeding to what he's saying and and reevaluating and seeing like, oh, maybe you're right. Like maybe I shouldn't do this. And that puts you on a better course, right?
Yep, and be patient, because as an entrepreneur, when you first get in the industry, you think, okay, I have something everybody needs. Everybody's going to jump on it. I'm going to make all this money. That's a bad perception to have. Like, it doesn't work that way. And I had to learn, like, I have to be patient, because you have to look into other people's stories and see how they started. And anyone who's great now did not start off being a millionaire the first month. Absolutely. Or the first 6 months, or even the first year. They really had to grind and work and continue working, and they had to be patient and keep telling themselves, like, I'm gonna make it. It may not happen right now, but it's gonna happen. I have to just keep going. And I have to tell myself that I'll never know how successful I'll be if I stop now. Like, if I stop now, I'll never know. So that's why I have to keep going. Absolutely. So whether we weren't making any money the first couple of months, I was like, I got to keep going, because if I stop now, like, all the buzz I put out there, like, yes, I have my own company, I'm grinding. And then 6 months later, like, what happened to your company? I'm like, oh yeah, I stopped doing that.
We see that all the time.
Like,
see that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's not me. Yeah. I can't do that. So I was like, no, I don't care if it's slow for the next year. I have to keep going. So I kept going.
I have to tell entrepreneurs, I don't care if it's slow for the first 5 years, right? You got to remember that what you're doing this for. Again, I'm bringing it back to, because Vince, you hit the nail on the head. This is legacy. This is legacy. Yes. There's no timetable on our legacy, right? There's no timetable.
You know, there isn't.
Right? So if we know what we're working towards, I don't care if that business is profitable in 3 years, in 5 years, in 7 years. If you keep at it and you know what you're doing it for, you will get there regardless. And you're right. Entrepreneurs they're not patient. They don't have enough patience to be able to get over the hump a lot of times. Have you always had patience just in general, or was it just, your support system around you that was giving you that patience?
I don't have any patience. Vince has a lot of patience. I don't have any patience, and I'm still learning to have patience. It's like a constant battle, because it's certain days I'm just like, okay, what's going on? Like, I was just on top and now I'm back on the bottom and I'm going back on top. It is what's going on. And he's reminding me, like, you have to be patient. It's going to happen. And sometimes he has his little moments where he's not patient because he gets frustrated because of the military. And I'm telling him, like, you got to be patient. It's going to happen. Like, just reminding him, like, going back and forth and telling each other, like, hey, and reminding each other, we've come a long way and we have to just keep going. We can't let certain things just get to us anymore. So Absolutely. It is a constant battle as far as patience goes.
Absolutely.
Constant battle.
I tell people, right, like I heard this from Gary Vee a while back, where he said that one of the struggles for entrepreneurs is if we have a high level of ambition, right? So we want a lot of things. We want big things. When you talk legacy, right, we're talking like big stuff. But to have that level of ambition, you have to have equal levels of patience. And if you don't, that's what throws it off. Because typically what happens is you'll get people that have a high level of ambition, but no patience. So they take short-term moves, short-term cut, right? Like they do things to make money. They skip steps to get after it because they have no patience, but that won't build their business. And then you also have the other side of people that are just crazy patient, right? But might not have the biggest level of ambition. Those are the people that say, I don't need $1 billion company. I don't need $1 million company. I need this. And they actually don't work hard enough and go fast enough to be able to get to a place where you build traction. So it actually takes both pulling from opposite ends for your level of ambition and your level of patience. That is what makes the entrepreneur successful. People don't get it. They just don't understand it.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's the key, man.
It's very true.
It's what keeps me grounded. It's what keeps me and my wife grounded, because we have such big ambition and such big, right, like foresight for what our great grandchildren will see of our lives. That's what lets us know that this isn't a 5-year game. This is a 20-year game. So what if we have a year bad? So what if we have 4 years that are bad? So what if we're working towards the same thing? This is also how we, to go off in this is how we also remain in our marriage, right? Like if you think about it, marriage is the long-term commitment as well. So what is it? Yeah. What is it when you have 2 bad years? What is it when like you don't get along for a couple years in your marriage? People would give up. But honestly, when we're like, well,
you're right.
We're going to be together for the rest of our lives. What's 2 years? What's 24 months if we're going to be together for 60 years? Right? Like, how, you see how people don't think about it and process things the right way, because again, and this is what I believe entrepreneurship brings out of you. It brings you this level of like understanding what's going on in the world, what's going on around you, and how to get to your goals and how you're going to need to process things in order to get there. So patience. I have a tattoo that says patience actually on my arm, right? So,
oh wow.
Yes, I really, really, really believe in it. So, all right. So again, take me through keep walking me through the story. So now you're building the business. What exactly are you doing on a day-to-day basis, Laine, that's really like generating things and getting things moving?
So for me on a day-to-day basis is I am either on a consultation or I'm constantly advertising on social media. And that's when I decided, hey, I may need a coach. I may need a mentor because I've already taken the class. I already have the education, but I need to speak to someone who is already where I want to be. And maybe they can tell me what I'm doing wrong. So I decided to hire my coach. His name is Jamarcus Blandon. I hired him and he said, social media is great. It's amazing. He's like, but what relationships are you building? He's like, you need to go out. You need to get out the house. Like, you have your own little home office. That's cute. That's amazing. It's convenient for you. He's like, but nobody knows your face. They just see what you're typing behind the computer. And it sounds great. He was like, but your audience, the people that actually want to do real business with you, aren't on the internet. Like, you need to go out and you need to have networking events. So I would go to a couple of networking events. I would travel outside of the state of North Carolina. I started deciding to do some more speaking events. Sure. And then I realized that where I was in Jacksonville wasn't too many networking events. Like, it was like pulling teeth to find a networking event, or I would be traveling an hour, 2 hours away. So I was like, okay, when we get everything together, like business is doing great, kids are going to be out of school, we should look into moving, because we were supposed to move a year before, but we didn't because of my credit. So I was like, okay, our credit is where it needs to be. Maybe we need to look into moving. So we called a couple of people and we found an amazing house. And we were like, my mom lived across the street from me because she decided to come down here to help me with the kids. And I realized that it would be so much cheaper if we just all moved in together. That would be so amazing. We can all build. We all have different goals in entrepreneurship, and it's all going to cost money. But what if we just put all our money together and in a house? Sure. And we found a house, and then we got approved within like 24 hours. It was crazy. Wow. I was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? Like, it's something I've never experienced before, like never, ever experienced. And I thought it was a joke. Yeah. I thought it was a joke. I was like, hey, you didn't even get to verify our income. They're like, oh, we don't need to verify your income. I'm like, what? I'm not used to this. Like, no, your income is great. We don't need to verify your income. I'm like, wow. And this is what I'm telling my clients. Like, you need to make sure you have this, and you need to make sure you have that, so you don't have to go through loopholes to get all this documentation just for you to get approved. And then for it to happen to me, I see why my clients were shocked and crying and like life changing, because I'm not used to that. I was never used to that. I've been with a family generation from generation where you either didn't have enough money or you had bad credit. Sure. So for me, it was very, very different. I was just like, okay. And they're like, when would you like to do a walkthrough? Come get your keys. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, all right, let's do this. Like, we're really doing this. And that's when we decided to move to Raleigh. And I'm so happy we did, because we have gotten way more networking opportunities. Absolutely amazing networking with different people in different industries. It's just so diverse, and it has scaled our business to another level where we can now open up our event space that's going to be coming up in August. So nice. It's Vince's special project. So
oh, well, we got to talk about it then, Vince. Talk to me about this. So what are you thinking? What are your ideas with this next piece, this next business?
Well, first off, I feel like it's my first real step into entrepreneurship. I've helped her along the way with our financial services business, but with me being in the military, like I said, it's my first jump in. As far as what we plan on doing with it, we're trying to open up a affordable available space for people to have their events, whatever the event may be, whether it be bridal showers or baby announcements, wedding receptions, art shows, if people, the local artists who want to play their art, hair shows, what people want to do. Just any event you can come up with. We're trying to pretty much make a space for people to display their goods. So just something we're looking forward to. I'm looking forward to. Like I said, it's my first step. I'm very, very excited, extremely excited. I mean, I can't wait. Like I said, I'm ready to get out the military big time. So
yeah,
like it's just something I'm
Talk about that. Talk about that, Vince. Like, because most people think like that's it. Like, I know people that are like, yo, I'm in the military. I'm good. Like, I'm good forever. You know what I mean? That's it. Like, how did you get to that place?
Well, I'll say the point before I joined the military, I was working for AT&T, a call center. Been there for a couple of years, and I love talking to people. But when you have to deal with people that are angry at the company for this problem or that problem, it's kind of tiring.
Listen,
I
feel your pain.
I feel like I have
I feel your pain because I came from restaurants, and I tell people this all the time.
Yeah.
Dealing with a hungry person is the craziest person you could ever deal with in that situation. So I feel you. I feel you.
So like I worked on the internet section. So imagine somebody not having internet in today's day and age. That's like a whole different level. But at the point in time, I was just had been there for a couple of years, and I just, like you, I believe you stated earlier, like I just realized I'm not gonna be here forever. Like I can't imagine myself being here for 20, 30 years. And at that point, I just was like looking for something else to do. I didn't really have, I guess, real direction in my life at that time. I just was just working for a paycheck. So I decided to join the military. I joined the Air Force. Enjoyed it. I've been in for 8 years. I have 2 more years to go.
Okay.
As far as that goes, in my 8 years being there, I've learned a lot. I'm a aircraft mechanic, so I basically fix airplanes. I really enjoy it. But once again, I reached a point in my life where I'm like, I don't want to do this for 20, 30 years. Like you stated, there's plenty of people that are in that's like, oh man, I can't wait to do my 20 years. It's going to be so amazing. And it's like, I love my job. I really do. But no, I don't foresee myself doing that. It's going to be 10 years of my life. And I feel like that's enough. And just watching Laine, like I said, with her taking the leap that she did, just seeing how amazing. She's been amazing from the start, even when she was doubting herself. She's been amazing. She's been a great example for me as far as entrepreneurship goes, and just watching her grow, watching all the stuff that we've had to go through with the business. It was just, it just feels like the next step for me. So again, I'm just really excited, just ready to get into it. So
that's exciting. That's exciting. And that's the power of being a couple that thinks with an entrepreneur mind. Right. That's the power of it, is because it just, right. It's, you guys have a very similar story to, again, me and my wife. My wife was the entrepreneur before I was. She was way better at it. She had way more experience. She could never, and I just started picking up traits here and there as I was like, oh, you're making a lot of money. Like my wife was the breadwinner of our family for a very long time. Right. Like her and her brother had a business together, and it was great. But, I saw the downsides. And so as I was going, like, we're just tweaking things, but it got my mind right to be like, yeah, I think I can go do that too. I can build something too. And then when our visions really came together, it was like, well, we can build this together to go to where we want to be. Right. And that's the power. Like, that's why you hear that power couple phrase, right? It's super important for entrepreneurs to have people that you can, right, trust and be in the foxhole with, because life is going to throw you the ups and downs. It's going to business is going to throw you the ups and downs, but knowing that you have a team, you got a partner that, like, you're thinking the same way. And once you get out, Vince, like, it's like no turning back. You're not going to be like, all right, well, let's go back to a job one day, right? Like, no, it's just moving forward.
No.
Exactly.
I think another thing was when I had to go somewhere, like either I was going out of town or going out of the state, either for an event, a networking event, or a speaking event, it was always the military's time. So it would be like, hey, on this date, I got to go to this place. Are you going to be able to come? And like, I'm not going to be able to come because I got to work or I got to do this. And it became, I feel like, for he can correct me, but I know it became a constant bother because I was always leaving and he was always here.
Sure.
So he didn't have that luxury. Like, I can leave, I can close my calendar for the day, I'll do something with my children. I can leave out of town on a Tuesday and it won't be a problem. I don't have to call and put no notice in or anything like that. Right. So if something was on a Thursday, we'll be like, well, why is it on a Thursday? Why is it not on a weekend? I said, because we're entrepreneurs. We can go anywhere we want on any day of the week. And I think that was the bother, because I was constantly like, don't get me wrong, he wanted to be there, but with his obligations, he couldn't. And they were like, oh, where's your spouse? You know, where's your boyfriend? Where's your fiance? Well, you know, he has to work today, but I'm holding down the fort. It's okay. And I know that will be a constant bother. Like, oh my gosh, you're always not here and I'm always having to work. And I think just giving him a glimpse of it, of how my life is being an entrepreneur, kind of makes you curious. Like, no, maybe I could do something too. So the event space was definitely, you know, like I said, I don't get bored, but I always like look at things where I could potentially put under the umbrella of what we can do to build a legacy. So after learning about event spaces, I was like, hey, do you think I'll have time to open up an event space? And he was like, no, you don't have time to open up an event space. You don't have no time at all. Yeah. I'm like, man, but I really want to do it. So I purchased a class. I was like, I'm going to find out how to do it. And I didn't do it for like a month. I looked at it and then I put it to the side. And I'm like, okay, I don't have time for this. Yeah. And he came to me, he said, you know what? I think that's a really good idea. And I really think that I want to do something like that so I can have something that I could be passionate about. Sure. Because let's keep it real. I love finances. Vince loves finances, but I'm more passionate about it than he is. You know, I just love it. And I know he needs something that he can be more passionate about. I love events. I'm not too passionate about it, but I know he's very passionate about it because of what it can do for our community. Just having something, people are always going to celebrate moments is very important, but to live in a community where you want to celebrate a moment in a nice, glamorous environment and it not be affordable is absolutely annoying. So I know that it will be great for him. So he just took the leap and he was like, yeah, we're going to do this. Well, you're going to help me, but I'm going to be in charge of this one.
Right. That's it. But that's it. I'm telling you, you guys are on the right path because that's exactly how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to think of the idea and execute on the idea, right? If you know it's something that can make money, that can bring fulfillment, can add that other stream, whatever it is that you're, you know, analyzing, it's about executing right after. It's like, all right, well, that's what we're going to do.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's execute. A lot of entrepreneurs don't get that. They leave it in idea form and then never execute on it. It's like ideas are worthless.
Yeah.
Right? They're worthless. I have a bunch of ideas I don't execute on, and I think those ideas are worthless. I think they're good, but like if I don't do anything with it, what am I going to do? You know, so the fact that you guys are acting on it is super, super important. So as we're kind of getting wrapped up here, talk to me about the future of, and I didn't even get the name of your company. Tell the people the name of the financial services organization.
It is Vermont Financial. Okay. But in English, people call it Vermont Financial because it's French. So
gotcha.
Vermont Financial, Vermont Financial, same thing.
What was the inspiration for the name?
So I am Haitian. So both of my parents are Haitian. I wanted to be able to provide something that will represent my background because you hear about Haitian culture, but you don't hear too many people represent or talk about it. Sure. And I just wanted to be the one that could represent my company with my background. So I wanted to find something that would be relatable to how I think and how I want to treat other people. So Vermont means genuine. I want to always provide a genuine service. You know, it's not always going to be as nice, but it's going to be as raw and real as possible. You know, being very raw and honest with your finances. Whatever your finances have to deal with, whether it's good or bad, always be genuine and honest about it. So that's where I got the Vermont from. So Vermont Financial, just being very genuine about your finances.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And who did you figure out your niche is? What specifically, who are you servicing the most?
So originally, when you become an entrepreneur, you start marketing to everyone, thinking everyone needs my service, and you realize that's not it. Everyone doesn't need your service, and nor do you want everyone to be your customer. So my personal niche is mothers and women, like women just just based on my story, where I came from, women naturally just cling to me. So 99% of our clients are women. And then I decided, I told Vince, I feel like I need to target more of the male audience, but I don't relate well with men. So
Absolutely.
naturally, that's just not me. So that's where events will connect with young men, like young men of our color who don't really know about credit, who don't know much about their finances, don't know much about building a business and having business credit. I feel like that is very important. So our basic niche right now is young millennials who have the ambition to do what they need to do, but they don't have the direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And along the East Coast is where all of our clients are. So
absolutely. And I'll tell you, like, finding that niche is super important. You hit the nail on the head again. Value for our listeners, right? Everyone doesn't need your business. Everyone doesn't need your service, nor do you want everyone to have it, right? It's not that type of business, especially in financial services.
Yes.
And understanding that, you know, if you connect with a certain demographic of people, if it is women, I'll reaffirm you, right? Like, women take care of most financial things anyway in the household, or whatever the case, right? They have most of the decision-making power. So the fact that you are going after that market and really helping that market, I think it's valuable, right? Because I'm also in financial services and I do better with women because men have this different level of, like, I think I know everything.
Yeah.
This isn't what I was thinking. Right. So, you know, I try to give where I can, but normally women are more receptive to coaching or understanding how to do something. So 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right there. But I think finding that niche is definitely important for every business owner. And honestly, with the event space, you'll have to do the same thing, right? It'll start where, like, probably have a bunch of events and that you're thinking, but then you start to narrow it down, like, man, we can really cater.
Yep, absolutely.
That's just the way it goes. So that's exciting, guys.
Yes, definitely.
That's awesome. I was going to say, like, tell people where they can find you. What's the best way to find you, how to reach out, you know, let people know how to get in touch with you.
The best way to find me personally is either Instagram or Facebook. For Instagram, it is Laine B CEO, so LAINE B CEO, and for Facebook is Laine B Waller.
Awesome. Vince, what about you, man?
For me, same thing. Mainly Instagram, I would say. My Instagram is views from Vince B. So views VIEWS from FROM Vince VINCEB. That's probably the best place to reach me. So
Awesome. Guys, I want you to connect with this couple. Obviously, you've heard it and you see that they are doing amazing things. I will always tell you to get on board with people that are moving in the right direction, right? If you get around people moving in the right direction, they can pull you along with them. So this is just yet another example and another couple that's out there making it happen, has a big vision, right? Anytime I hear people use the word legacy, I know they're thinking in the right way. It's not just about money, right? It's not just about the little stuff here and there. You're not going to be out of business in a year. Yes, you might pivot and go different directions, but you're going to be around to help people. So I want people to connect with you, reach out for your services. Any young women or women in general that need that financial help, that need that coaching, right? Reach out. Let's support each other in business. Obviously, that's the most important thing, is as we're growing, we are supporting each other to grow. And let's help these people, get to a place where they can be entrepreneurs and understand what it really takes to become it. So, guys, I really, really appreciate having you on the show. And hopefully, we can stay connected. Anything you need from here on out, I'm here for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and hopefully I get a chance to get down to North Carolina at some point. I'm up in Philly. So,
yeah, you have to. It's beautiful over here.
I gotta make it down there at some point. All right. So take care, guys. Enjoy your day. Thanks everyone for listening. Super appreciate you guys. Talk to you guys soon. Be blessed.